WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American. Today I am actually doing a tour through Ireland, at least for the last couple of weeks, that I should have done in real life, but because of the evil C word, I now have to do it virtually. Who's my guest today?
Michael Morris at the Hinch Distillery.
Excellent, excellent. So even behind me, we can see here a little bit of your different expressions. Now, not everyone's very familiar with the Hinch Distillery. Could you tell me, first of all, what is your position there and how did you actually come to enjoy whiskey?
Okay, so I'm the international sales director for the company. So my job is to essentially go around the world finding the distributors who will sell our whiskey to the consumers in the various markets. And I've been doing that for over a year now. And happy news is we now are close to getting into 25 markets around the world. So if you don't know Hinch, you'll be hearing a lot more about us in the near future.
All right. Tell us a little bit about the history of Hinch. How did this new distillery that's going to be or is being built actually happen?
Yeah, the distillery is the brainchild of a very successful local entrepreneur, Dr. Terry Cross. Terry's background was in packaging, so he had a very, very successful packaging company called Delta Print and Packaging, which he sold some years ago. And his interest in drink had actually also been in that he owns a chateau in Bordeaux called Chateau de la Ligne. And he's owned that for he bought that back in the year 2000, turned it into a wonderful property, making really lovely wine, a Cuvée Prestige. And that got Terry's interest in all things drink, I think. So when he decided to sell his packaging company, he was very aware of the great new interest in Irish whiskey, the fact that we're in the middle of a renaissance. There were a lot of new companies, a lot of new distilleries. But he saw a gap in the market that a lot of the activity was happening in the south of Ireland and in the north, not so much. So he committed to building a distillery here over 2 years ago. And we're now only months away from what will be a absolutely first class, very significant property here in Kilkenny Estate, which is in County Down in the north of Ireland.
All right, good. I'm just going to show Google here a little bit to see where we are. So we have Hinch Distillery up here. So we have down here Dublin, so we can actually see that. And we have a artist rendering here of how the distillery will actually look. So you have a bodega at the top, which is great. And down behind you, you have some warehouses there. A lot of stone is involved in that. Excellent, excellent. Thanks.
Yeah, that again would be down to Terry. We've used a lot of local stone. The place itself, as a visitor centre, is going to be the artist's impression. Nearly doesn't do it justice. The building, which I'm looking at out the window here, is even exceeds that. It's absolutely beautiful. And we'll be opening on the other side of this uncertain time that we have at the moment.
Very good. So we actually try to expect fall 2020.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll be in production probably well before that actually, and the visitor centre will come now at a later date. But the actual physical production facility at the distillery will be happening. We would have hoped in the summer.
All right, excellent, excellent. So let's talk about the production for a moment. Will you be sourcing local grain in the future, or how is that going to work?
Right. Well, the distillery is a single malt distillery, so our signature is going to be triple distilled, high quality single malt. We won't produce any grain whiskey here at the distillery. We're going to, I suppose it's the well-traveled path where we will buy our grain whiskey elsewhere in the island of Ireland. In fact, I think I can disclose that. Great Northern Distillery, John Teeling, is a very, very good friend of us, good friend of the company, and has a wonderful track record in whiskey full stop, but grain in particularly. So we're going to buy our grain from John, and we will make all of the triple distilled single malt here ourselves.
All right, very good. So we have a couple of people watching. Actually, if you have any questions, 25 people are watching at the moment. So Folka says hello, Michael and Jason. Tina says hello, all. Gokul actually says hello, Michael and Jason. He's a wonderful Irish whiskey fan. I think you've met him also in Dublin before.
Oh, yes.
Very, very good guy there, the Whiskey Stout. And oh, I'm a little bit low with my sound. All right, I can change that in a second. Very good. So the next question,
Anyone who's a fan of Irish whiskey is a friend of mine.
excellent, excellent. All right, very, very good. So the next question that I have here, if it's triple distilled, what type of barrels will you be using in the future here for maturation, and how long do you expect before you release something?
Yeah, well, we will characteristically be using the best quality American oak. So first fill and second fill bourbon casks. So that will replicate quite closely the whiskey that we sell to date. So the barrels that we have bought on the island of Ireland, which we can talk about. So we will use bourbon. We will also hopefully get a reputation in relation to finishing. So we're all over sourcing of good wood so that there will be sherry finishing, port casks, perhaps rum casks. So everything that's kind of current and new and contemporary in the category, we're going to be looking at. But the base will be top quality bourbon casks.
All right. So Colin Wayne asked Michael, when is the distillery due to open? So please repeat yourself. Some people come in a little bit later.
Yeah, so the distillery, the actual production facility, we would be obviously we would actually be open around now if it hadn't been for this situation happening around the world. So our hope will be that the production facility will be opening at some point in the midsummer.
All right, very good. Tina actually mentioned something we talked about a moment ago. When I look at the map, there's a lot of distilleries already in this area. We have Elchinville, they're up there. We have Radaman Estate, and also Killowen from Brandon is not that far away. So it's actually a whole region, isn't it?
All happening in County Down.
All right. Will there be regions like in Scotland one day, in Ireland? What do you think?
My own view on that is perhaps yes. I mean, Ireland, it's an island, it's a small place, but where Scotch whisky and Scotland in particular, also not a big place, they have managed to have really very acute regional differential. So I would have thought at some point in the future, regionality will become, not anytime soon, but in the future, regionality in Ireland will definitely be a factor.
All right, excellent, excellent. So now you have a visitor centers opening up as soon as possible. You're going to start production in the summer. You have good wood. Now, in the meanwhile, we have to wait a little bit. Let's take a look at the website, and let's take a look at some of your different products you have at the moment, and maybe you can comment on those as well. So I can actually put this in the stream here. You have Hinch Distilling Company. You have here the 10, the 5, and you have the small batch bourbon cask. You have the 5-year-old double wood. You have the 10-year-old cherry cask. You have the single pot still, which is interesting because you won't have that in the future. And you have the peated single malt. So you're going to have to talk about that if you're going to use peated as well in your single malt. Go.
Yeah. Can I just say that when I said although single malt, triple distilled single malt will be the signature whiskey at the distillery, we will also be making some pot still. I think that will be very important as a uniquely Irish product, which Ireland is famous for. It's something that obviously will be decided, but I would have thought pot still is something in small batches that we will make. We were very fortunate, again, back to Terry Cross. Terry was able, as part of the vision, to buy a lot of mature casks, mature whiskey and cask that was available on the island of Ireland some years ago, a couple of 3 years ago. It's not available anymore, mind you. It's all gone. It's all been snapped up, and we got our fair share of it. So we developed, we felt, and I was involved latterly, that this would give us a great opportunity to build a reputation as a serious whiskey player, and that we bought the casks, we then blended the whiskey, and we matured it on site, but we will be bottling everything here on site in the near future.
Bottling line as well, great.
Oh yeah, this is going to be top to bottom. So we have a bottling line coming in the summertime, getting ready for production. So we will be bottling everything here, maturation, some of it on site. We will have very significant maturation capacity nearby as well, all locally. So this is going to be where we, I guess, start building the provenance for Hinch in its whiskey space.
And was there any problems with permits, with warehouses? I know John Teeling had a lot of issues with his.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing. We were actually very lucky, again, through Terry's connections, to get planning permission here on Killaney Estate, which he owns. to build the distillery because we're about 15 miles from Belfast on the main road to Ballynahinch, which is where we get our name, the town, on the way to the Mourne Mountains. So we're in a beautiful rural location here, and everything had to be done properly to make sure that what we haven't created is an eyesore, which is why I think the distillery is actually so beautiful as a potential visitor center in the future.
All right. Very nice. So could you show us some of your bottles at the moment that you have, maybe?
Yeah, so just running you through the small batch. So the small batch is our signature, very much in the triple distilled Irish style, high malt content, beautiful, kind of easy to drink style, as someone said famously, dangerously drinkable, which I like to quote because I take that as a compliment. So you get all the right kind of types of flavors, beautiful soft, light style whiskey. A step up from that is the 5-year-old. The 5-year-old is a double wood. So again, this is relatively experimental because as well as using first fill bourbon casks, we finish the whiskey in virgin oak. So then you get the nice kind of mix and blend between the fruit of the bourbon cask and then you get some spice from the virgin oak. Top tier for us is the 10-year-old. 10-year-old's absolutely elegant, beautiful style. We were able to buy casks from Bodega Garvey, 30-year-old Oloroso sherry casks, which have given this whiskey an absolutely beautiful kind of secondary flavor profile. Excellent. Then, our dark horse is the peated single malt. So unusual for Irish whiskey, as you know, any of you who know Connemara, it's in that style, although it's heavily peated, ppm at over 50. So it's more like a turf moor. Beautiful stuff. And last but not least is our pot still. So this single pot still, as a uniquely Irish young whiskey, more interesting for, I guess, whiskey people who are really trying to establish the DNA of what pot still's all about. And that's the lineup.
All right, excellent. So I hope that my microphone's a little bit better at this moment. Cullum Wayne says, great looking building taking shape. I drive past it every day, and until recently, I did not know what it was going to be. So this is great.
Yeah, we were just, it's a good comment Colin made there. We were embargoed because although we work with the Northern Irish government at Invest Northern Ireland, and we were able to get a grant there. But the problem was that we couldn't really talk about the distillery while it was being built for technical reasons. But now that obviously we're very proudly part of working with Invest Northern Ireland, so consequently, we're really going to start pushing the local angle, the local locality, so that people first and foremost in County Down and Belfast and the rest of Ireland know that we're here.
All right, very, very good. So I did something else with the sound. Maybe this is even better. Eon, I have no idea how to McGuire. Do you feel the market will become saturated with gin distilleries planning to launch their own in the near future, and also whiskey distilleries?
Yeah. Well, look, yes, there are a lot. There's no question about it, and possibly too many. But look at Scotland. There are well over 100 distilleries in Scotland, and nobody's putting the brakes on that. There are new distilleries in Scotland all the time. I think that the world market for whiskey, we're at the start of a lot of new consumers. I mean, the demographic for whiskey generally, Irish whiskey in particular, is a much younger profile. So consequently, I think that, yes, I take the point that there are a lot of players coming into the market, but certainly Irish whiskey is at the start of a very, very great growth line, no question about it. And whatever happens, we certainly are determined to get our share of it. But I do take the point, there are a lot of new distilleries.
All right, very, very good. Now, David asks, so Connemara shouldn't be allowed to market themselves as Ireland's only peated malt, correct?
That is absolutely correct. Absolutely. We'll give Connemara a run for its money. And I used to work back in the day, I worked with Cooley, the Cooley company, before the Beam purchase. And I have a lot of time for Connemara, Turfmoor, the whole range, all the beautiful stuff that Noel Sweeney made. And I do believe that our peated single malt is very much up there in that high end of the category and the flavor profile. It's beautiful stuff.
All right, very good. Now, if anyone has any questions, maybe either on Facebook or also on YouTube, please put those in the comments. We can ask Michael that here. Could you just give us a brief bio, just a little bit of a CV of your life? I mean, you've been in the industry now for decades, literally.
Yeah, yeah. No, I came out of university here, Queen's University in Belfast, and was one of the first management trainees working in Bass, Ireland, which is a beer company, which sadly now is no longer in Belfast. But that's where I started. And after a period, I worked within the Irish Distillers Group for Dillon Bass. And post that, I worked for Cooley, which is when I really got my interest in, again, through the tutelage of John Teeling, the interest in the whole independent. John was one of the first people. I worked with Jack and Stephen Teeling, and we were very aware that the interest in Irish whiskey was becoming very pronounced. So he called it long before it actually happened. And when Beam took over, I was involved more latterly, trying to be involved with opening a distillery in the old Crumlin Road jail, which unfortunately in Belfast.
Oh, yeah, the taxi driver that won the lottery.
Bus driver, actually.
Bus, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, I was involved with that for a while, but unfortunately it didn't happen. And then I had a very happy time working with Kieran Mulgrew up in Niche Drinks, which was the Quiet Man. So I was involved with the Quiet Man for 3 years. We with the Quiet Man, the Niche Drinks company, did a deal with Luxco, which another great American company, actually. And that took Quiet Man in one direction, but I had spoken to Terry Cross about potentially joining here at Hinch. I could see Terry's vision was superb in terms of the funding that he was bringing personally to the party, which is always a problem in the category, in the industry. And he had great ambitions, long-term plan, and I'm delighted to be part of it on the ground floor.
Yeah, that is very, very exciting. As you said, from the very beginning, you get to actually now enter into the different markets. You mentioned over 20 markets that Hinch will be available in the future, or already is available. Could you mention some of those at the moment? Where are you?
Yeah, so we are already exporting to a number of the markets in Europe. We're in Italy, we're in France, we're up in the Scandinavian countries. We hope to be in Germany very soon, of course. We're in all of our domestic markets, so we're in the UK, Ireland, North and South, and we've had a great start in the Far East. So our first shipments are going to Hong Kong. We're already trading there with a great company, Bramwork in Hong Kong. We're in China. We're in Taiwan as well, and Japan. So these were the first rush of markets that we've gone into. The next big steps for us, though, are the United States. We're very close there to, we've just had our back label approval, which, as you know, in America, very important. It takes time. But we've now had our approval on the labels, and we're within touching distance of getting our distribution arrangements in place there. And that's going to be very, very important. That's going to be our next big step.
Yeah, so I think the Irish whiskey market is biggest in the States, I think, and if you can be big there, you can be big everywhere, and that's very, very nice. Great.
It is true. It's a true battleground, but it's a huge market. It's where the real, I guess, where this Irish Renaissance, you know, if you think back to the past, the Irish whiskey industry was almost destroyed by prohibition in America, and now it's funny and come full circle that Irish whiskey is now the great thing that it's becoming again because of the interest of younger consumers in America.
Very, very good. Now, 2 questions. First question is, you're going to now enter the market with Hinch with your whiskey at the moment, and then in 5 years, I'm going to say you have your own whiskey. Will there be a change in the names, or will you just be using that entire momentum now for the future?
Well, I guess yes, you're right in timing, 4 or 5 years, because we will be in production this year. I guess what we will do is we will refine the style of the whiskey. Hinch, I see, will be the name of our whiskey going forward. We brought in a young distiller to help, a very good guy, Aaron Flaherty, who's joined us with a deep background in whiskey production, actually in Scotland, even though he's from Northern Ireland. And he and the team here, he will help and we will help him, and he will obviously take the lead in having signature whiskies which will build. The way I like to look at this is the casks that we bought have created a very, very high bar for for the company because the whiskey's outstanding. The awards will tell us that, and the distributors that we have around the world. So unquestionably, we've set a high bar. But with our own whiskey and our own triple distilled, single malt, and perhaps pot still, we will definitely be looking to take it to another level. And yeah, we'll all be under the flag of Hinch.
Very, very good. Now, I forgot to ask her, I don't think I heard an answer. Would any of the new stuff be peated?
Again, it's for debate. The early thinking on it is that yes, it will be something that I guess we're going to experiment on. I'm not going to say it'll be core to us. That's not what we're going to be in the core of what we do. But I personally, if you ask me, my personal opinion, I will be pushing hard for that because I do think that as a subcategory, it's a very interesting dynamic.
All right, very good. Dennis Hendricks here says, hi, Michael. Was just about to drop you an email. We'll be here in Holland to help, and great to see you live here. Excellent.
Well, Dennis, thank you very much. And actually, I should have mentioned the very first export market that we had was to my friends Van Wees in Holland. So Holland is actually going quite well for us, and I look forward to going to the pot still and the other whiskey shows there later in the year.
Look at that, experimental cask, question mark. That's almost an order already, I think, yeah?
Absolutely. We have got some very interesting stuff going on where with the whiskey that we've got, we're finishing some, for instance, in Amarone casks. The early tastings on that have been beautiful. Some beer casks, imperial stout finishing.
Oh, Thomas loves his IPA and so on, yeah.
So we did a little contra deal with Whitewater Brewery here in County Down. We made some beautiful imperial stout and seasoned the casks. So yeah, so we're experimenting that, and again because of our wine connection with Chateau de la Ligne in Bordeaux, I would have thought that next year we'll be taking some of that beautiful kind of seasoned French oak and see how we go with that as well in terms of maybe a double wood. So as my boss says to me though, you almost have to think about making the range smaller, not greater, and you have to be careful with experimentation that you don't just run away with it. But it is something that we're going to be doing for sure.
All right, very good. You have another neighbor here. Colin Cunningham says, interesting, living just over the hill from Hinch, and he said, would love to tour of how it all happens when open. All right, so you need to contact each other, I guess, huh?
Yeah, Colin, I will remember the name, and I'll give you the VIP tour. How's that?
Very, very good. Colin, you will probably get it before I will, because who knows when I'll make it over there to Ireland. And that will happen again.
Jason, you have an open invitation always.
Thank you. But I just need an airplane to get me over there, and I need be allowed into the country. Very good. So David asks here, Michael, could you tell us a bit about Ninth Wave Gin? Oh, all right. So you have a 3-minute plug now here. Haven't been able to get my hand on any of it down in Dublin, but it looks very, very interesting.
So we will be making gin here also at the distillery, and the Ninth Wave is the brand. So the Ninth Wave has been a concept here that we've developed, and we are. The bottle. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. You mentioned Dublin. The gin, the very, very first delivery of the gin went into Dunnes Stores actually, just before this all kicked off. So our timing wasn't fantastic, but you will be able to buy the Ninth Wave gin in Dunnes Stores in the Republic of Ireland. And up here in the north, we've just had a first listing in Sainsbury's in the supermarket, and we'll also be in all of the independents, of course. The independents are what we're really all about here in Ireland. So although it's great to be in Dunnes in the south, Sainsbury's in the north, and hopefully Tesco, we will really be helping to support the independents. Out of the bat, absolutely shocked us. We put it into 2 major competitions. It won the gold medal at the World Gin Awards in London back in March, which was fantastic. And it was then just won the gold medal also at the Australian International Spirit Competition. So straight off the bat, it's won 2 gold medals. And believe me, that's up against serious competition. And it's all about, yes, we've got a beautiful bottle, which reflects the kind of Celtic mythology and It's a maritime story in the background, but the actual liquid itself, which is lemon verbena, is one of the main botanicals. It's absolutely lovely, believe me.
All right, very good. One last little screen share here so we can see the bottle and it's all its beauty here. Irish gin. So I like the wave. I like that Celtic moment. Very, very beautiful. I'm sure it's an eye catcher and you're going to have a lot of success with that.
Yeah,
Now, will your whiskey also be available in the future in supermarkets, or what's your strategy there for Ireland and for the UK?
Yeah, the supermarkets are important business, but of course, and I guess what we will definitely be we'll be choosing hopefully our partners, because that's the route here in the UK and Ireland. Supermarket business is where you get to consumers.
Yeah.
So obviously, I would have thought on the blended side of things, the younger blends where we still have the great quality but can hit the price point. That will be something that I guess both in the United Kingdom and further afield we will be trying to get volume and get the consumer awareness through there. But the actual reputation of the company and the liquid will be in the more premium SKUs, even though our small batch starts at a premium level. So we're not in the standard category at all.
Could you mention some of the prices in the UK or at the moment?
Yeah, so our whiskey starts around the £30, just over €30 mark for the small batch. Works up towards 35 for the 5-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the peated and the pot are under 40, 38 quid, something like that. And then the 10-year-old is a steel up at around £48.
Which is still very, very acceptable prices for the whiskey you're getting, I must admit. Other companies start at £79 and then move up to 139, where it's like, ooh, I'm not sure about that. All right, very good. Look what Colin wrote down here. Thanks. Just live up on Creevy Tennant Road.
Okay, can't say I know it, but I'll write it down. Yeah.
All right, very, very good. If there's any other questions out there, please always just ask them now. Michael, we have here, and we can pick his brain as much as we want to. All right, will you be doing also events in the future? Will there be opening events and open door days and maybe a yearly festival that you want to be part of?
Yeah, here at Hinch?
Yes.
Absolutely. One of the things, when Terry put the vision and the plan together, it was very much about the fact that it would be very welcoming and a space for people to visit and enjoy the whole ambience and so on, because it would be a crime not to do that. As in, the stills are beautiful, of course, real eye-catching piece, but they'll do a great functional job in making great whiskey. But while people are here, the visitor centre will accommodate a bar where people can eat and drink, and also in the future we will have conference space and things like that. So this would have been, I guess, with the current climate, we are now phasing it where getting into production right away is going to be phase 1, and then phase 2 we will take maybe a bit more time about putting that together. But you're absolutely right. We can't wait till we have our first weddings here. We can accommodate up to, I think it's 130 people in one of the rooms overlooking the stills. For the right bride and groom, Hinch is we're here. We're going to be. Terry learned a lot of this from his chateau in Bordeaux, was one of the primary wedding venues and business conference venues. So we're going to kind of take that bit of what's happening over in France and do it here in Ireland.
All right, very good. So will you have a cask program for people who want to buy private casks?
Yes, we're finalizing this, and you need to be very you have to be very switched on about this. We've already made the decision that the founders' casks, the first casks, will be 100 casks. So we are going to sell the first 100 casks. We'll keep of the first 100. We'll keep some back, but they will be available virtually on a first come first served basis. You're going to hear quite a bit about this shortly. We know what the price is going to be. So £4,995 is going to get you one of our original casks. And as we all know, they're going to be very, very much sought after.
Can I apply now?
Jason?
Write it down. I have some casks in Ireland already, so very, very good. So unfortunately, people come in and out, so we're going to have to repeat some questions here. Tina says maybe I missed it, but where's the barley coming from?
So the barley, what would happen with us? What will happen will be our malted barley will be coming from various sources here in Ireland and some from Scotland. The important thing though is that everything will obviously, as a core ingredient, will be distilled here on the premises. I used to have to answer this question when we were with Cooley. People wondered why we were bringing grains up from the south of France.
Yes.
But the facts are that the grain from the south of France with the sunshine and just the grade of the quality of the grain was better than what we could have locally for making whiskey. So we will be sourcing barley, malted barley and grain from the best sources, but it'll all be about distilling it here on our site.
Excellent, excellent. And the capacity of the distillery per year will be what?
Yeah, so it's going to be around 400,000 liters of pure alcohol, which is a pretty significant size. Then when you add to that the fact that we're going to be buying our grain in, so that suddenly can make us a relatively significant player in the category. We're certainly not. We will call ourselves boutique, but we're slightly bigger than that.
I think so too. Exactly. Very, very good. Here, Alicia asks again, is there any plans to release pot still whiskey? You have one already, and you will have one in the future. Very nice.
It certainly gets my vote, and I think that we will be doing a batch of pot still every year, yes.
Yeah, very good. So David asks, will we see Hinge at Whiskey Live Dublin 2020? It'll be my first time going to one, so I'd love to see you there. I would love to see you there as well, by the way.
Yeah, we've already booked a bigger stand. We made our launch in Ireland at Whiskey Live in last year, 2019, yes. Where Jason, we were happy to try a dram or two. Yeah. So yeah, we've a bigger stand this year, and with a year under our, that'll be nearly 2 years under our belt. We will have our own. At the big thing at that, of course, will we have some our own new make. So as well as having the current range, we will have some new make at Dublin Whiskey Live. Really looking forward to it.
All right, and Dennis says, write me up for a cask as well. So
Dennis, you're down. This isn't so bad. 2 casks sold.
Yeah. Oh, that's worth it, actually. All right, this is great advertising.
But it is true. We have as a group, we have decided that irrespective of the interest, it'll be only 100 casks, no more.
Yeah, very, very good. And will there be a certain limit for the warehousing? Is it planned for 4 years or for 10 years, or what are you looking at there?
No, we're in the process of, we will keep a small bit of the maturation warehouse here on the property, but there's plenty of available space. So we are planning to make a lot of whiskey. So we are currently in talks with Terry's Connections to get good maturation space in the local area, and it'll be big. I can't quite comment on how big, but we see ourselves pretty quickly getting into full production.
Great. Now, Tina says, bringing new make to the Whiskey Live sounds great. Will you be doing that?
We absolutely will definitely do that. That's a promise.
All right, very good. Oh, I missed Bazooka. Look, hello, Jason and Michael. Very, very, very nice. All right, so my question towards the end is always, what question did I not ask that you'd also like to talk about, Michael?
Well, it's great for us as in terms of this opportunity to be able to start getting the word out about the distillery, because it is becoming a crowded space. And I do believe that in the near future, whiskey distilling in Ireland is going to be about the haves and the have-nots. And the distilleries, the people who are either making their own whiskey or directly connected with the distilleries, are going to be the ones that are going to take the big steps in the international scene. I'm long enough at it. You talked about it earlier. 25 years ago, yeah. Irish whiskey on the international scene was very limited. It was the big brands that we all know, and that was it. Cooley broke that mold. Of course, it was Cooley that originally broke the mold. But there's now the interest, and I can say this with impunity, I've been to whiskey shows in the States, in China, in Hong Kong, across Europe, and it's always the same. 2 things strike me as very interesting. First of all, the young consumer dynamic, the 25 to 35-year-olds who seem to be so interested in Irish whiskey. And as a father of 3 daughters myself, can I also say that it's very interesting that a big part of the new demographic in Irish whiskey, young women, they're coming into whiskey as a whole new group in a quite significant way. And I find that very interesting as well. So I do think the world's our oyster in many ways.
Excellent, excellent. Will you be catering to female target groups with your advertising, or how are you going to do that?
Oh, that's for another day. Our whiskey's for everyone. I just comment on the fact that I've noticed that I think this easy drinking, this kind of complex style of whiskey, women are appreciating that, and I'm noticing it more and more, and it's becoming a real factor in the category. So I would have thought, why not?
All right, very, very good. Mark says here, coming to the party, late, but great to see you guys. A couple of top blokes. Keep it up, Jason and Michael.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Mark.
Good to see you, Mark. Okay. And Tina, a lady, says, please, no pink labels.
No, I can guarantee that, Tina, no pink labels.
I had to really laugh about that one. That was very, very good. All right, excellent. All right, so we talked about basically everything I wanted to. This is an exciting new distillery. They have exciting new products. You have really distribution out there, and you have, I'm going to say with my words, deep pockets to make this possible. Now, 2 last questions. Brexit, how has it affected you? And or also with importing to the States now with the tariffs. That is also one of the things you have to consider, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm happy to go on the record that there were no fans of Brexit here. But now that it's a reality, Terry leading, I guess, by example, Terry Cross is saying we just got to get on with it. So consequently, we here in the north of Ireland actually potentially have a situation where it'll work well for us, we hope. But yeah, just to take a more direct point, it was strange to me that when the tax came in on single malt Irish whiskey, single malt whiskey, it was aimed at the UK. But of course, because we here in County Down, we're part of the United Kingdom, so our peated single malt attracted the additional tax when it. So we've now got our pricing structure on that one product kind of with skew because of that additional tax. I guess though we all have to hope that as things calm down, these things won't last forever, but they exist at the moment, so we just have to get on with it.
Very, very good. That's one of the things that happens. Your construction at the moment, I think, is actually paused due to Corona, but other than that, there are no other big effects, or have there been?
No. Other than that, I guess closing is for a while. But we're so close. I mean, it was the timing was not great, of course, and tragic, obviously, as well. But from our point of view, it's simply put a speed bump in the way of getting the distillery. We're determined as soon as it's safe and as soon as the government give us the green light to be back on the job, we'll be ready to go. And we already have a very fixed idea that very soon after the workmen are back on site to finish things off, that we're going to be in production, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so Dennis is going to be Friday night at the Whiskey Live in Dublin. I will try to be there also both days. You have a bigger stand, so I guess we're all going to have a little bit of meetup and Dublin, then that will be great. All right, so thank you very much, Michael, for being my guest. It was a privilege having you here. Whiskey Jason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of American, going through Ireland and the Irish distilleries virtually in the last 2 weeks. I look forward to a couple other ones that are coming up. Last words are yours, Michael.
Well, thanks very much, Jason. It's always a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you soon. And you will definitely be down for one of our casks. Well done, you. And I look forward to seeing you. And thank you very much to all who've come in to listen. Thanks a lot.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye-bye.